Now, with Liverpool travelling to face a Leicester side who had lost 10 of their last 11 and drawn 1, and a side who had not scored a home goal in the Premier League since December, you thought this was probably going to be one of those rare, straightforward afternoons for Arne Slot's side, and yet we should have known, don't we, that Liverpool don't do it easy, and therefore they contrived to make this a really nervy one in the end. Fortunately, they did get the breakthrough in the end, that big moment from Trent Alexander-Arnold, huge celebrations on the pitch, and huge celebrations in the stand as well. And the reason it was so well received, that goal, is because, of course, it moves Liverpool within one win of winning the Premier League title. Now, obviously not a perfect performance in the sense that you would say that Liverpool, you would have liked them to have made it a little bit more comfortable against a Leicester side who have been in shocking form recently and had a bit of a shocking season, really. But I will kind of knock down, I think, as a starting point, the suggestion that Liverpool didn't play well here. I mean, I saw a few of those shouts at half-time, a few shouts as it got towards the 70th minute and Liverpool hadn't found the breakthrough. But I think sometimes, people can allow the frustration to colour what they're actually watching in the game. And the fact is, for me, although Liverpool didn't put their chances away, maybe there's some criticism there, they had, in the general sense of the game, played really well. If anything, Leicester weren't unfortunate. It got torn away from them in the end. It's Liverpool who were unfortunate the game was on the line for quite as long as it was, given how many chances they did create, the total domination, really, of the game from the first whistle. I mean, the statistics from the game really bear that out. I mean, Leicester 5 shots in total, Liverpool 28. Liverpool 10 shots on target, Leicester 0. Liverpool create 9 up to define big chances, Leicester 0. And the expected goals count is 2.62 for Liverpool and 0.25 for Leicester. And so what we saw really was one of those days where sometimes the ball just doesn't go in the back of the net. This is football. These days can happen where you can hit the woodwork a couple of times, the goalkeeper can have a blinder, there can be blocks being thrown in, and it was just kind of one of those days. It just wouldn't go in, and I do want to give Leicester actually a little bit of credit for that. They knew they had to win today to keep their chances of staying up alive, although obviously they were very slim anyway, but to avoid being relegated today. And I think you could see that in the way they played. I mean, obviously offered very little in attack. The quality is just not there. But in terms of the defensive aspect, so committed, throwing in lots of blocks. The keeper played well. They were just desperate to avoid Liverpool scoring and really kind of showed that. But unfortunately for them, Liverpool were fighting for something big as well, which of course is to get one step closer to that Premier League title, and they wanted it just as much. And that is why Liverpool just kept banging down the door, and eventually, as I say, they find that breakthrough. And it's interesting really because this game and Liverpool's performance, not necessarily the performance actually, as I say, because I thought that was good in many aspects, but because it was tight and it was just a 1-0 win, I think you will get people buying a little bit more into that narrative that, Liverpool are limping over the line here, aren't they? They're not playing well at the moment. But I just totally disagree with that. And also, the fact is, even if you have one of these days, it's all about, can you get yourself over the line? Can you do it? And Liverpool have repeatedly done that in recent months when people have been criticising the football that they've been playing and saying they're not quite as scintillating as they were early in the season. And the fact is, from Liverpool's last 13 games, they're won 10, lost 1 and drawn 2. So if that is limping over the line, they're not doing too badly at all. And I think it's, we forget, maybe Liverpool supporters forget because we've not seen them involved in title wins very, very often in recent years, of course, that these are typical performances in the run-in. This can happen a lot. Even the Manchester City sides under Guardiola were not cruising through constantly. There's been games where they've been a little bit dodgy but got themselves over the line, because that is what champions do. I mean, you actually think back to their win over Leicester that denied Liverpool the title, where Kompany pulls an unbelievable shot out the top drawer that he would never repeat again in his life. And, we look back now and we think, they just stormed to the title every year, but that is not the case. And I think, as I say, if you're Liverpool and the football you're playing is not quite as good as early in the season, you just have to get yourself over the line and win the games, and that is absolutely what they've done over those last 13. And the fact is, they are the form side in the Premier League, so they aren't doing too badly at all. Now, of course, I'm talking about the positives there in terms of the level of performance and the fact that Liverpool were maybe a bit unlucky not to get themselves ahead. But I do actually want to talk about a slight negative here that kind of relates to the fact that they didn't get the noses in front earlier. And I think you could see a little bit from today's game why despite the fact that Liverpool are the top scorers in the league, they are going to win the Premier League. You can kind of see why Arne Slot might want to tear up this attack when it comes to the end of the season, because you might feel like there's just a little bit of a revamp needed there. I think what you would say is that Arne Slot has masked it very well. As I say, Liverpool top scorers, they've done enough to win the league, so let's not be overly critical of these players, but I do wonder whether you just think that he needs a few more killers in that attack rather than, I've said this a few times, it sometimes feel like you've got Mo Salah who's just on this unbelievable world-class level, and then the guys around him are kind of a bit more support acts, and if you just had one more, just retooled the balance of that attack a little bit, and so that you had one more killer and it was just a bit more pointed towards that, I think it would help Liverpool a lot, because we've seen, kind of similarly to last season, is that the attack has dried up a little bit, as it did in this period last season. For all that people talk about fatigue when they're running under Jurgen Klopp that season, it was suddenly that the attack kind of stopped scoring goals was a big issue there, and I think he can be prone to that, because basically if Salah doesn't score and he stops scoring, those other ones are maybe not ready to constantly or consistently step up, and so you see, he's making a decision like putting Luis Diaz in there in that centre-forward role, which is not his natural role, because Diogo Jota's not quite informed. Darwin Núñez is, clear suggestion that there's been a bit of a falling out there on the training ground, isn't there? And obviously his form is so inconsistent. I think Gakpo's been struggling since he came back from his injury. So you've just got all these issues, really. And of course, there's also Federico Chiesa, who didn't even make the squad today, and I think it's quite clear now the writing is on the wall for him, isn't it, and that he's not going to make it at Anfield and will be sold this summer. So, just so many question marks around those attackers, and it makes you think that it's clear that he's going to make some changes in that area and hope he can avoid runs like this that Liverpool have been on recently, where the attack just hasn't quite looked perfect there. So I think you could kind of see that in this game. Yes, Liverpool get over the line, and they're going to get over the line in the Premier League, but maybe it's a positive, actually, that there are areas of this team you can see can clearly be improved, and the manager and the sporting director can work on this summer, because you think if they do that, they could be even better next season, and what they've got at the moment is still very good, but there is real potential to mix things up in the attack, as I say, because I think Chiesa, as I say, the writing's on the wall. Darwin Núñez looks to be going as well. Potential question marks over Diaz and Jota regarding, we'll see what kind of money comes in for them, but yeah, there's a real platform there, I think, to mix things up in the attack, and you can see why the manager might want to do it. Now, of course, the man who does get the goal is Trent Alexander-Arnold, and he has to be a talking point in this match review. It was interesting that all eyes were kind of on the away end when he came on, and I understand he's got a bit of a mixed reception. You could hear the song, the Scouser in Our Team song, being belted out by the away end by quite a few, a sizable part of that, but I also understand there was a few in that away end who weren't particularly happy about that, and we're making it clear that they didn't want to necessarily chant Trent Alexander-Arnold's name, but there was no mixed reception whatsoever when he puts the ball in the back of the net. Was there absolute joy in the away end and joy on the pitch? And it's interesting, the nature of his celebration, the enthusiasm with which he celebrated that goal and addressed the away end. You did see a few question marks, didn't you, about, does that mean anything? Does that suggest that he might want to stay? Particularly as there's been some rumours on social media this week that, maybe there's been a U-turn there, or maybe Trent is changing his mind and maybe wants to stay with Liverpool. But it was interesting. He was asked by Sky Sports post-match about what his future is like, and I got the direct quote here. He said, "I've said all season I'm not getting into my situation. These days are special. Scoring goals, winning titles is special, being part of it." So very non-committal, as you would expect. But the fact he's talking up how special the day was, and it just makes me think it still feels very much nailed on that he is going to leave, doesn't it? And that he's talking about how special it is because this is soon going to become a memory, and he's going to make that move to Real Madrid. And we haven't heard anything to kind of contradict those reports that were coming out suggesting he had decided to join Real Madrid. Nothing closer on his contract as far as we're aware. So maybe that is the way he was talking, just suggests that is going to be the case. But of course, he doesn't want to give too much away, does he, before that is confirmed? And maybe when Liverpool do get over the line in the title race, that's the point at which he confirms it, and he has a few games there to kind of see out his Liverpool career on a positive note. And I mean, I have to say, from my personal point of view, I don't necessarily begrudge Trent Alexander-Arnold this. It's not that he hates Liverpool or doesn't love Liverpool as much as he said, or he's desperate to leave. For me, I think he just maybe the reason for him wanting to go would be to try a new experience, to try and live in Spain, to try and win a different league, to win the Champions League with a different team. And those opportunities don't come around an awful lot. So for me, I kind of sympathise with him in terms of wanting to do that. And the fact is, if he is going to leave, yes, it will be with a sour taste for some because there's not a fee involved, but he's got a big moment there today. He's played a huge role in this title. He's played a huge role in previous Premier League title, Champions League victories, League Cup, FA Cup as well. So I don't think his reputation should be too sullied by it all, but I totally understand, very much like the away end today, that it's kind of mixed views on this, and that's why he got a mixed reception. But I think, of course, if he is going to leave, big memory today and a big moment in his Liverpool career, and there's been an awful lot of those, hasn't there, down the years, and this was just another one, and great to see those celebrations, and he really did seem to enjoy the goal as well. Now, just to kind of wrap up quickly, I want to talk as well about Alexis McAllister just briefly. Thought his performance today was absolutely outstanding. Again, 5 out of 9 ground duels won, 3 out of 3 tackles, 6 recoveries, 3 chances created, and 89% of his passes completed. He's just so good on both sides of the ball, and I would say Liverpool's most important midfielder, and a key part of why they absolutely dominated this game from start to finish. What a footballer he is. And I guess the only question this leaves now really about this game and the aftermath of this game is, when are Liverpool going to win the title then? Now, of course, it could be on Wednesday evening when Arsenal face Crystal Palace at the Emirates. If Arsenal lose that game, and a draw would still be enough to keep the title alive. If Arsenal lose that game, then the title will be handed to Liverpool. And I have to say, you don't want to get picky about when you win a Premier League title when it's your second in 30 odd years. So maybe I'm being a bit silly here, but I really, my personal view is really that it would be quite nice if Liverpool could go into that Tottenham game at the weekend with a chance to go and win it themselves. I think that would be the absolute ideal situation, wouldn't it? So almost want to kind of cheer on Arsenal a little bit in that game on Wednesday and make sure they avoid defeat so that Liverpool can go into the Spurs game and go and win it for themselves. But of course, like I say, you can't be too picky, and we will have to see. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Let me know what you think about all that. What do you think about the performance today? What do you think about the Trent reception? And what are you thinking about Wednesday's game for Arsenal? Do you want them to lose it to wrap the title up quickly, or would you rather they keep it alive till that weekend game? Do let me know your thoughts on that. And of course, if you can like and subscribe, always massively appreciated. I keep mentioning it, we're very close to 30,000 subscribers, and we are just edging closer and closer. So hopefully this video can get us over the line. But thank you to all new subscribers. I'm going to leave it there and say I'll see you guys very soon.